Hey everyone, this is Sarah Rising welcoming you back to the Godot community. This is our PLC neighborhood for our elementary visual art teachers across the state of Georgia. Welcome back to everyone. If you're new to the community, I'm glad you're stopping by and I hope you enjoy the webinar today. This, you guys, is our third in the seventh webinar, our third series, and today it is going to be a process video. I will incorporate this within a PowerPoint just to give you some background, but this is just kind of an alternative project for the day. So what I'd like to remind you to do is subscribe to the posts and respond to our discussion question that I'll present to you guys at the end of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. This is something new. I just discovered it. It is the Tempera masking process video. And I came across it, I was probably on social media, and it was from a website called It Needs More Contrast by a high school art teacher named Erin Taylor. And I will link her site on here, but she is where I got the idea, and I kind of tweaked it a little bit more for elementary students. So let's take a look at what this is here. So in this episode, I'm going to introduce you to what exactly tempera masking is. I'm going to share with you the process video, and then we'll wrap things up with a discussion question. Tempera masking, I have discovered that doing it with elementary students, you need to keep the process very simple in your design. You don't want to have a lot of intricate lines. You want to have very simple contour lines and then very simple patterning. This is one, actually this was the first one that I did, and I did it real quickly. And I love the look at it. Some people might not care for it too much, but I left the background blank, and I like the vintage feel that it gives, and I think your kids might like it too. It's just a new process, and that new novelty is always good to stimulate our creativity. This is a version that I did. I would not do this with elementary students. There is a lot of line work that you have to do. And this is the bird before I painted it, and that's what it looks like afterwards. So hopefully that piques your interest and gets you excited to see what's coming up here. This is the final for the project that I'm going to show you today. So sneak peek that you can see the before and the after. So what we're going to do next is we're going to jump into the process video, watch this video, and if you need to, fast forward through the long-winded parts, and we'll come back and catch up at the end for our discussion. Hey everybody, this is the process video for this really cool technique that I came across actually just about a week ago, and I will cite the teacher who shared her post on how to do this, and it's called a tempera resist. This is a finished product, and when you watch me do it, you might say, oh, it feels like, I could have just outlined it with black and avoided all these steps. But I like the project because I think it is a great alternative way to do something, and it elicits a lot of wows from the kids. This is a mini version of one that I did, and I just did a cupcake. The whole key here that you want to do, whatever you pick for your topic, needs to be a very simple design. So I'm going to walk you through how I did this and show you the supplies you need to start off with. You do need a watercolor paper. You need that heavy watercolor. This is just a school grade watercolor paper that I have. This is a 9 by 12. I know that watercolor paper is not in all of our budgets. And what you can do, that I did on this, is I cut the paper in half so it stretches your watercolor. The demo I'm going to do, though, is going to be on full paper. So watercolor paper, you need a pencil, an eraser, and a pointed wooden stick that I lovingly refer to in class as the pokey stick. And then you'll need some white tempera paint. And I strongly recommend the white tempera paint you use is the not
washable. You want the Primo Prime Tempera paint because you need it to be thick for what we're doing. And then I'm using a little brush with that. And then you'll need some India ink. I talked to you guys in an earlier webinar about my recent love affair with India ink. It comes in a bottle like this. You can get different varieties from different manufacturers, and you don't need a lot of it. When I put it out for the kids, I put it out in a cup, and then I also put it inside another cup so it doesn't spill. Let me go grab a bowl and show you that. Hold on, coming back. All right, so I put it inside another cup, and then I put that on a tray. It just gives me double insurance so things don't spill. All right, for this project, you may choose whatever topic you want to go with, but I'm basing this lesson on line and color. And the cupcake you saw before, this is a drawing of some flowers. I know it's not coming up very well. I'm going to zoom in a little and show you that. You'll see it more as I go through this. But I've taken some liberty to change things up a little bit on this so that it works out. You don't have to do the two steps. The original directions showed it using copy paper, drawing your picture on the copy paper, setting the copy paper on top, and then transferring your drawing. I really didn't need that extra step. So here's what I did. I had the kids lightly draw their picture on the paper first, and you have to emphasize that light drawing. It also has to be really minimally detailed. Finger space in between all of my lines, and you'll see why in a minute. You don't want to have any intricate drawing. The first one that I tried was this bird in a cage, and there's just too many lines because you have to paint this, and I'll show you why in a minute. So you start with your drawing. This is a drawing, and then after you complete the drawing, you're going to take your pokey stick, your wooden pointed stick, and trace over all of your lines. Now, what I like to do is just use a stack of copy paper and put the copy paper under, which gives me some padding. So give each kid 4 or 5 pieces of copy paper, and then they're going to go through this and they're going to trace over all the pencil lines, almost like what you would do if you were doing some foil tooling. And I like to remind them to go slow. It's funny because, they kind of him and haw a little bit about how hard it is because they have to press so hard. But I always find that the kids always draw really hard with pencil anyway. And then when you tell them to draw hard, and they really, really do. One of the ways that you can check, and I've already done this whole thing, I'm just going to do a little bit to show you, but one of the ways you can check to see if it's coming through is you'll see on the back, it'll be raised up. I don't know if you can pick that up in the camera. I'm trying to get an angle for you guys, but you'll see it raised up. So I just have them pick it up and kind of look at it to see what lines are coming through. And if you see, like I can see an area here that's not coming through, you'll know you didn't press hard enough. So maybe a second pass over those lines might be warranted. So you trace over all of your lines, and then when that part is done, the fun part comes in. You're going to use the white tempera paint, and you're going to paint everything except for the lines you drew on. This one I've already started, and I'm going to see how close I can get to this camera. See if it will focus. Oh, it won't focus. All right, I'll put it back down here. You're going to paint in between all of these lines, leaving the carved lines blank. So when I explained that the design needs to be super simple, this is why. I don't know if you can tell in this camera angle, the watercolor paper almost has more of a cream color, and the tempera paint is very white. So you go in and paint all of that. And I just work with the kids to come right up to the line and put the paint on thick. Because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be washing over this whole thing with India ink. So you need to cover everything with white. So a round brush is a nice tool for this. And I'm not going to paint this whole thing for you, but I'm just going to show you what I do is I teach them to get a nice size dollop of paint on their brush and then just lightly come around and fill in so that they're not touching the lines. And what's going to happen is everywhere the white color paint is exposed, or the watercolor paper is exposed and not masked with the tempera paint, the India ink is going to stick to that. So we're kind of working in reverse here. And you're going to take that all the way across and color in again with the white. I'm going to let this dry and I will come back and show you how that finishes. All right, so that part's done. I will admit I hit it with a hair dryer. And I do, again, recommend going, like I showed you, go with the 6 by 9 inch version, depending on the time you have. If you have a longer rotation with your kids and you can afford to have a couple of days spent on this part of the painting, then by all means, do that part. All right, this is the fun part. Next, we're going to just take India ink and we're just going to lightly wash over the whole thing with India ink. And don't go back over an area. That's what I tell them. Swipe it and then just move on. And you can see I got all that done in one dip. So make sure that they understand they don't have to consistently be dipping their brush to refill. But you also don't want to scrub. So what's happening here is the India ink is filling in all the parts of the paper that doesn't have the tempera wash. So the tempera wash is protecting the paper. And you might think, how is it doing that? But it really, really does. It's almost like the batik paintings. I don't know if any of you have tried that. I'm going to go in and hit those white spots, pop that on there. And then you're going to let this dry and then rinse it off. So I'm going to let this dry and come back and I'll take you over to the sink and we'll watch the magic happen. All right, so here's where the magic's going to start to happen. As you can see, I have my piece of paper coated with the India ink and then a sink full of water. Now, if you're doing this with a class full of kids, this is a great time of year now that it's getting warm outside to do this outside. If you have a hose, if you have trays, kitty litter boxes, anything works really well for this. So you just pop it in the water, like so. And then you just rinse it off with your hands and it will start to come clean. Let me go ahead and put on my trusty rusty rubber gloves for this. You guys can see the magic happen. I let it soak for a minute or two like this just to get things going. And as you can see, it's starting to get lighter. A little lighter. And that's one of the reasons we use the watercolor paper with this is because it's strong enough to handle all of this water. So you get like that batik looking finish. It elicits a lot of oohs and ahs from the kids. It looks old, almost Reminds me a little bit of an old photograph. I think it's so cool. At this point, you might want to have some fresh water. You could leave it like this, but you can see the areas where the watercolor, where the, not the watercolor, the tempera paint was put on thicker than other areas. And if I run some more water over it, let me get that camera in there a little bit more for you guys. I'm just going to run some water, clean water over it. And you can see that there's still the tempera washing off. So the first layer to come off is the ink, and the second layer is the tempera. And you can still see that water is real milky. And give it one last rinse. And you have your final piece. I'm going to lay it here and show you guys. The one thing you do have to remind the kids to do is be super careful with the paper in that it's wet. I would set these on another piece of white paper and then put them on the drying rack. Once it's dry, you can go in and color it with watercolor paint. I think that's a really good finish to it. That's how I did the final project. Or you can leave them just like this. I think they're pretty cool just like this alone. So hopefully you enjoyed that technique on the Tempera Resist and give it a try. It may seem a little bit scary. It is a lot involved. There is some prep work, but for your older kids, I would say this is perfect for fourth and fifth graders. Hope you guys enjoy this. See ya.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I thought that was really cool. You know, it can be a little scary. There's a lot of steps and it involves India ink, but I encourage you to give it a try, maybe with just one of your classes. Pick a class that you know can handle the process and give it a go. Before we wrap up for the day, I'd like to just pose the discussion question to you guys. And what that is, let me scoop my face out of the way here. If you would, share some of your favorite non-traditional art lessons that you love to teach, something that isn't the same old, same old. And if you would, post your response in the discussion section. We can get some discussions going and get some ideas going here as we get ready to wrap up the school year. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.